Few men have the courage to admit it, but most men mess up before they even begin. And no, it's not because they're less attractive or because women only want rich, handsome guys. It's because of a single, common mistake that goes unnoticed even by the most experienced, and that kills any chance of a real connection. The worst part, you've probably already done it without realizing it. This mistake is insidious because, in your head, you believe you're doing everything right. You think you're showing interest, being kind, present, and attentive. But to a woman's perception, what you're conveying is insecurity, neediness, and predictability. It's like offering an expensive gift to someone who hasn't even decided whether they like you. It doesn't create gratitude, it creates discomfort. The truth is, women don't just pull away. There's a recurring pattern that causes their interest to evaporate, and it's much more tied to your behavior than your appearance or financial situation. And when you understand this, you realize that the key to maintaining attraction lies in controlling your own energy. If you keep ignoring this detail, you'll repeat the same cycle: initial excitement, intense exchange, and then silence, apologies, distancing. But if you learn to identify and correct this, the game changes drastically and quickly. What I'm going to show you now will make you see interactions in a completely different way. And it's not theory, it's pure practice, with examples that any man can apply today to turn the tide. The invisible behavior that kills attraction without you realizing it. Many men think they lose attraction because of something big and obvious: a wrong word, a brusque attitude, a misinterpreted gesture. But in reality, what kills a woman's interest is almost always silent and subtle. It's the behavior that undermines her instinct for curiosity without you even realizing it. Small actions that drain emotion and break the connection, like talking too much to fill the silence or trying to please at all costs. It's like a slow leak. It doesn't make a sound, but it drains any impact you could have. This invisible enemy can manifest itself in many ways: a hesitant posture, a constantly averted gaze, an insecure tone of voice, or even an excessive amount of explanations to justify every action. All of this conveys a lack of control and weakens personal magnetism. A woman may not be able to explain the reason, but she will sense that subtle disconnect. It's like watching a street performer trying to impress, but sensing that he's nervous. The charm simply evaporates. Imagine this: you're on a date, and every time the conversation pauses, you rush to fill it with some random topic. It seems innocent, but it conveys haste and insecurity. The silence, which could generate presence and mystery, turns into discomfort. Women notice this detail because their instincts are sharp enough to detect inconsistencies in a man's posture. The result: desire diminishes, and attraction loses strength without her being able to rationally explain it. To avoid this silent poison, you need to practice presence. This doesn't mean becoming rigid and serious, but rather adopting a confident, assured demeanor, taking your time to impress. A good practice is to put yourself in situations where you control the pace, like learning to enjoy a coffee alone in a busy environment without using your phone. Small practices like these increase your value in her eyes because they demonstrate mastery and confidence. And here's the interesting thing: when you start to notice these signs and correct this behavior, something almost magical happens. Your energy shifts, your gaze becomes more assertive, and your posture conveys power without words. But this is only the first step, because there's another, even more insidious enemy that destroys any connection, and it's closely linked to how you show interest. Or showing excessive interest destroys your value. Showing interest is natural and even necessary to create attraction, but when it goes too far, the effect is devastating. It's like adding salt to food. Just the right amount enhances the flavor. Too much, and it ruins everything. Excessive interest conveys neediness. and neediness is a natural repellent to female desire. Realizing she already has your full attention and validation, a woman feels she doesn't need to invest in the connection, and without investment, there's no emotion. The problem is that many men don't realize they're offering too much value without receiving anything in return. It's the famous putting a woman on a pedestal before even really getting to know her. This behavior disrupts the balance between attention and mystery, making you seem predictable and lacking in magnetism. A silent question arises in her mind. If he already gives me everything for free, is he like this with everyone? A simple example: sending messages every half hour asking how she's doing, complimenting anything she posts, or making yourself available for any last-minute invitation. This doesn't sound like interest. It sounds like haste, insecurity, and a lack of other options. A woman's instinct senses that you're more concerned about not losing her than keeping your own life interesting, and this drastically reduces the impact you could have. Men who understand the game of attraction know that attention should be a scarce resource, delivered intelligently. Showing that you have other interests, hobbies, and commitments conveys value and security. It's like an auction. The most desired item is always the one everyone wants, but few have access to. When a woman realizes she needs to win your presence, the connection grows naturally. And the curious thing is that the less you show eagerness to get her attention, the more she begins to seek yours. But here lies another, perhaps even more subtle, danger: the way you offer validation. And that's exactly where many fall without realizing it. The negative impact of over-validation. Praising is good, but praising too much, too soon, or without discretion is like giving spoilers in a movie. It spoils the fun. When a man heaps validation on a woman without actually doing anything to deserve it, he sends the message that her value is low and her attention is cheap. This diminishes the impact of his words and reduces the power of his gaze, his presence, and even his body language. The problem with over-validation is that it removes the mystery and excitement from the process. If a woman knows from the very first minute that you're enchanted and willing to do anything, the game is over before it even begins. The female instinct is stimulated by challenge, by gradual conquest, by the balance between curiosity and interest. When validation is excessive, you break this dynamic. Imagine you meet an attractive woman and, right from the start, you start complimenting everything: her hair, her clothes, her perfume, her smile, her walk. She might even smile politely, but inside, the effect isn't as positive as you imagine. It's like receiving a trophy before running a marathon. The victory loses its flavor. This creates disconnection and weakens desire. Smart validation happens strategically. Instead of saying "you're beautiful" 20 times, you choose specific moments to acknowledge something unique with authenticity. For example, you have a curious way of explaining things. It catches my attention. It's a compliment that engages curiosity, genuine interest, and maintains the magnetism of the interaction. And here's the catch. When a man learns to give validation in the right measure, he gains a huge advantage. But many mess it up when they try to shape their behavior to please, and that's when they completely lose their identity. The mistake of shaping yourself to please few mistakes are as silently fatal as giving up one's true essence in an attempt to win someone over. When a man begins to change his behavior, opinions, and even his habits to fit a woman's expectations, he loses something irreplaceable: authenticity. And without authenticity, there's no magnetism, presence, or real value that can withstand it. At first, it may seem like it's working, but in her eyes, it's just another sign of insecurity. Attraction is born from contrast, from the connection between two strong identities. When you erase yours to become a reflection of it, interest fades. It's like watching a movie where all the characters say the same thing. There's no tension, no emotion. Women quickly sense when a man is just following the script to gain approval. And when they do, their instinct tells them, if he doesn't take a stand, he's not trustworthy. A simple example, if she says she likes rock, you say you like it too, even though you've never heard a band of that genre. If she says she loves to travel, you say you're passionate about traveling, even without a passport. This behavior seems harmless, but it creates a subtle repulsion. What's attractive is the attitude of someone who maintains their own tastes, even if they differ. This conveys control and security. Men with a strong posture aren't afraid to say, "It's not really my thing, but tell me more about it." This simple phrase maintains connection without sacrificing your own identity. It shows you're interested, but not in need of validation. It's the balance between curiosity and self-control that keeps the mystery and power of the interaction alive. And it's precisely at this point that a powerful secret comes into play. Preserving a certain degree of mystery isn't just a tactic. It's a vital necessity for the attraction to continue growing. And when that mystery is lost too soon, interest evaporates. The importance of maintaining mystery in the beginning. Curiosity is one of the most powerful fuels of attraction. When a man reveals everything about himself right away, his stories, insecurities, routine, achievements, and even personal dramas, he kills a woman's natural instinct to discover more. Mystery is like a good book. Each chapter needs to leave questions hanging to keep the reader turning the pages. Without it, the connection loses intensity before it even gains strength. The problem is that many confuse openness with excessive exposure. Being open doesn't mean spilling your entire life story in a single encounter. It's smarter to allow discoveries to unfold gradually, creating genuine emotional reactions. When a woman feels there's still a lot to discover, she invests more attention and appreciates every moment of interaction. Think of a movie that gives away its ending in the first 10 minutes. No matter how good the rest is, the experience loses its impact. The same thing happens in seduction. If you reveal every detail, you rob it of the thrill of discovery. And this thrill is precisely what activates desire, connection, and personal magnetism. Keeping a few tricks up your sleeve isn't manipulation, it's keeping the game interesting. A practical example. Instead of talking about all your hobbies, mention just one and tell a compelling story about it. Let her discover the others as you interact. This builds anticipation and fuels curiosity. A confident presence and a steady gaze throughout the conversation reinforce the power of this mystery. And it's precisely along these lines that a decisive factor comes into play. When you combine mystery with security and control over your own energy, attraction stops being fleeting and becomes something profound. And it's precisely this secure presence that we'll talk about next. The power of safe and controlled presence. Presence isn't just about being physically in the same room as someone. It's about how you occupy that space. A man with a confident presence exudes confidence without needing to say much, and this directly impacts desire and connection. He controls his own pace, doesn't react impulsively, and his posture exudes dominance and magnetism. This energy is felt even before a word is spoken. Women can sense the difference between a man who's truly in control and one who's just trying to appear confident. Body language betrays it. The steady gaze, the calm gestures, the steady tone of voice, all communicate confidence. It's like watching a conductor conducting an orchestra. There's no rush, just absolute control over the moment. A simple example, on a date, while many scramble to fill silences or quickly change the subject, a man with a confident presence remains calm, comfortable, and focused on the interaction. He knows that silence also communicates and that each pause can heighten the impact of his words. This not only keeps her attention, but also heightens the sense of mystery and value. This controlled presence also prevents impulsive reactions to minor provocations. When a woman realizes you're not easily shaken, she understands she's dealing with someone emotionally strong. This arouses curiosity and respect. After all, emotional control is one of the clearest signs of high value, and it is precisely in this search for control and security that many get lost, as they confuse this solid posture with the constant need to seek approval. And then they fall into a trap that makes them invisible, when the need for approval makes you invisible. The constant search for approval is like a silent poison to attraction. When a man depends on a woman's gaze or words to feel validated, he automatically places his worth in her hands. And worse, this dependence causes him to act predictably, without impact, losing the personal magnetism that could set him apart. It's as if, with every gesture, he's asking for permission to exist. The female instinct quickly detects this lack. It can be through small things: exaggerated laughter at mediocre jokes, a look that constantly seeks her reaction, or a sudden change in behavior to avoid any risk of rejection. All of this communicates a lack of control and security. And without security, there is no genuine desire. A clear example: during a conversation, she makes a provocative comment, and the man, instead of reacting calmly and maintaining his composure, rushes to explain himself or change the subject to avoid looking bad. This reaction conveys insecurity and eliminates the healthy tension that could generate more connection and interest. Men who don't depend on approval maintain their presence intact, even when they don't receive immediate positive responses. They know that the value isn't in constantly pleasing, but in maintaining their own identity. It's the balance between attention and detachment that keeps her interest alive. And right here we come to another behavior that, when it appears, destroys any chance of conquest: haste. And this, when it appears, scares any woman. The rush effect that scares any woman. Nothing is more effective at breaking a budding connection than trying to artificially speed up the process. Rushing is a clear sign of insecurity and neediness, as it communicates that you fear losing the opportunity before you've even built a solid foundation of attraction. It's like planting a seed today and expecting to harvest the fruit tomorrow. The result is always frustrating. The female instinct associates haste with a lack of self-worth. When a man tries to skip steps, whether by forcing intimacy or anticipating declarations or expectations, he robs her of the thrill of gradual conquest. This creates disconnection because emotion needs time to mature. Desire isn't a switch. It's a flame that grows at the right pace. A practical example: he met her today, and he already wants to meet up every day. He's exchanged half a dozen messages and is already talking about a relationship. Or worse, he starts acting as if she's already a top priority in his life. This artificial intensity is repulsive because it shows that his interest isn't based on who she is, but on the urgency to fill an inner void. Men who understand the value of time play the game calmly. They enjoy each interaction as part of the process, without skipping steps. This conveys control, confidence, and value, attributes that naturally fuel attraction. The lack of rushing, paradoxically, accelerates genuine interest. And that's where we come to the most powerful balancing act in seduction: knowing how to balance attention and detachment to keep the magnetism alive without losing control of the situation. The perfect balance between attention and detachment. Attraction is like a dance. Sometimes you advance, sometimes you retreat. Many men make the mistake of always remaining in one step, either by giving too much attention or by practicing an exaggerated detachment that comes across as disinterest. True magnetism lies in balance, in offering enough presence and connection to maintain interest, while still leaving room for mystery and curiosity to flourish. This balance conveys value and security. When you show genuine attention but don't compromise your life, interests, and purpose, she realizes she's dealing with someone who's in control. This maintains a healthy tension, as she feels the need to invest more of your time and energy. Her instincts respond positively to this game because achievement becomes real, not guaranteed. A practical example: sending a thoughtful message and then going about your daily routine without expecting an immediate response. Or dedicating quality time together, but not changing your entire schedule to accommodate her every whim. This shows that you value the connection, but aren't willing to compromise your identity or emotional control. The right mix of attentiveness and detachment creates a profound impact. A woman feels your presence, senses your confidence, but also notices that you're not desperate for approval. It's a quiet control that keeps attraction alive and growing. And for those who already realize they've made mistakes on some of these points so far, the good news is that there is a way to adjust your behavior immediately and rebuild genuine interest. How to fix this error today? Correcting these patterns doesn't require radical changes overnight, but rather conscious and consistent adjustments. The first step is self-awareness, recognizing when you're acting out of neediness, seeking validation, or trying to accelerate connection. Simply by identifying these behaviors, you begin to regain control over your reactions and your presence. Next, it's time to reset priorities. Instead of focusing on the woman, prioritize your own life, your projects, and your purpose. When she realizes you have a rich inner world and that you're unwilling to compromise, your perceived value automatically increases. It's self-mastery that sparks genuine interest. A practical exercise is to create micro-social challenges. For example, in a conversation, resist the urge to fill silences or respond immediately to every message. At the same time, when interacting, do so with attention and genuine energy. This teaches you how to balance presence and detachment naturally, without seeming artificial or calculated. Another essential point is to work on your body language. Small adjustments, maintaining an upright posture, a steady gaze, and controlled gestures communicate confidence and magnetism even before you speak. It's amazing how these details change the reactions of those around you. When you start implementing these changes, you'll not only notice an improvement in how women respond to you, but you'll also feel a direct impact on your self-confidence. And the most interesting thing is that, from that point on, you'll never look at the attraction game the same way again. How to fix this error today? Correcting these patterns doesn't require radical changes overnight, but rather conscious and consistent adjustments. The first step is self-awareness, recognizing when you're acting out of neediness, seeking validation, or trying to accelerate connection. Simply by identifying these behaviors, you begin to regain control over your reactions and your presence. Next, it's time to reset priorities. Instead of focusing on the woman, prioritize your own life, your projects, and your purpose. When she realizes you have a rich inner world and that you're unwilling to compromise, your perceived value automatically increases. It's self-mastery that sparks genuine interest. A practical exercise is to create micro-social challenges. For example, in a conversation, resist the urge to fill silences or respond immediately to every message. At the same time, when interacting, do so with attention and genuine energy. This teaches you how to balance presence and detachment naturally, without seeming artificial or calculated. Another essential point is to work on your body language. Small adjustments, maintaining an upright posture, a steady gaze, and controlled gestures communicate confidence and magnetism even before you speak. It's amazing how these details change the reactions of those around you. When you start implementing these changes, you'll not only notice an improvement in how women respond to you, but you'll also feel a direct impact on your self-confidence. And the most interesting thing is that from that point on, you'll never look at the attraction game the same way again.